Hi folks. Boo! Hey, it's October. Happy Halloween, everyone. Yes, indeed. Happy October. Happy Halloween. Halloween is just around the corner. Here we are, mid-October, and within a few weeks, all the ghosts and goblins will be out and about. Anyhow, I want to introduce myself. I am Rick J.M. Gauthier, Richard J.M. Gauthier, Canadian author. I'm the author of the Little Ricky series of short stories. I have 3 series: Little Ricky the Boy from Otter Lake, Little Ricky the Lad from Otter Lake, Adolescent Adventures, and Little Ricky the Young Man from Otter Lake, available for sale on Amazon.ca and Kobo.com. I am a writer who does not write for myself. I write to help the poor. I sell my stories so that I can raise money to give to a food bank. I give 100% of my royalties to a food bank here in Toronto. My ultimate goal is to raise enough money someday to help food banks all across Canada, but I'm just starting out, so every little bit helps. Anyhow, today is a good day for a Halloween story, a good ghost story, and I am posting free ghost stories now until the end of October so that you can enjoy them this Halloween. And all I ask in return is to consider purchasing one of my short stories, one of my books, to help me help the poor at the food bank. Anyway, Rick Gauthier here, Canadian author, Little Ricky the Boy from Otter Lake, Little Ricky the Lad from Otter Lake, Adolescent Adventures, and Little Ricky the Young Man from Otter Lake. Enjoy these free Halloween short stories. Take care. Happy Halloween. Bye.
As they had discussed in the hall after the last morning period, Ricky and the 6 other inquisitive teens rushed eating their lunches so that they could quickly gather in the library. Now presently seated in a back corner of the library behind a large, tall rack covered with periodicals, informative pamphlets, and magazines, the 7 schoolmates patiently waited for Charles to bring out and set up the Ouija board. In their view, the setting was nearly perfect to conduct a seance. To darken the room, Tina had closed the window blinds and had drawn the heavy curtains for this part of the room. She left the window open to let some fresh air in. She felt scared and thought fresh air would help. On the other side of the table where the gang was sitting, luckily the tall shelves filled with books blocked out a lot of the overhead fluorescent lighting. The atmosphere was not dark, but the lighting was dimmed enough to welcome any stray spirit. Everyone seemed content that the table was round, each feeling that gathering in a circle was better than getting together around a square or rectangular table. In their view, a round table would let them emulate seances in a similar fashion as most of them had seen in the movies or in television programs. Barbara also pointed out to her chums that they were fortunate to be a group of 7 because the number 7 was definitely a lucky number. From his sack, Charles unhurriedly lifted up what seemed to be a long and narrow, stiff piece of black folded cardboard. When Charles set it upon the table, he unfolded it to display a black and beige-colored tablet that measured approximately 1.5 feet by 2 feet. This bizarre-looking object, shaped like a large table placemat, displayed images of a smiling sun and a sleeping moon in both the top left and right corners. Illustrations of creepy fortune tellers having hands hovering over a peculiar-looking triangle-shaped object appeared in both lower corners. Down the board's middle, the letters of the alphabet weirdly stretched out in a semicircular fashion. Under the 26 letters of the English alphabet, the board included the numbers 1 through 9, and equally a 0 being the last digit in the row. Below the row of numbers was the word goodbye. Eerily, centered above the alphabet, the board's name was warped and bent in a haunted-looking font, as if to call out its own name in great pain. Flanked on either side of this ominous name were the words yes and no. Next, Charles retrieved an odd triangular kind of object, well triangular but with very rounded edges. This strange thing, shaped like the bottom of Ricky's mother's clothes pressing iron, looked like a mini dollhouse coffee table with very stubby short legs. The weird thing also had a very small circular rounded clear plastic window at its top. Ricky's eyes popped with curiosity as he exclaimed, "Wow, I have never seen anything like these things before. Charles, how does it work?" The others in the group, having similar interest, beseeched Charles to explain what they were looking at and how it all worked. "Hang on, everyone," begged Charles. "Give me a moment. I will try to explain what to do. I asked my mom all about it over the weekend and will demonstrate everything," he added. "However, if it is Rose's spirit that we want to communicate with, each of you must try to clear your minds of your own preoccupations And fill yourselves with happy memories of poor Rose, continued Charles. Lois sat up and chirped, "Oh, yes, of course. That is why we decided to do this today. Our seance must be about Rose." Everyone nodded in agreement to Lois's avowal, and as such, each became suddenly quiet and stared forward with oddly blank, focused eyes. Each tried to push away any unimportant thought that was currently tumbling in their respective psyches. After a moment, Charles, taking an instant to look around the table, stated, "If none of you have ever used an Ouija board before, the concept is pretty straightforward." Charles reached out and picked up the bizarre triangular-shaped object. He looked at it suspiciously and said, "This device here is called a planchette. The planchette rests upon the board like this, and needs to be set up upon its little legs." Charles lowered the planchette and put it in the middle of the Ouija board. "Before I tell you what we need to do next, I want you all to take a look at the board. As you can see, there are the words yes, no, goodbye, the letters of the alphabet, and the numbers 0 through 9 written about this board." Ricky took a deep breath and expressed, "Wow, that is a lot of detail. It all looks ominous. Do we use these words, letters, and numbers to write out messages we want to send to ghosts?" At Ricky's inquiry, everyone stiffened and shuddered. Charles shook his head and replied, No, the spirit we contact will use our distinct energies to make a connection through us. The ghost, hopefully Rose, will use these numbers, letters, and words to communicate with us. Ghosts will count or spell out things to us, or answer yes or no. When the link between the two worlds is too much for everyone, the spirit will move the pointer down here at the bottom of the board to say goodbye. For communication to happen, we will all need to place our hands lightly on this triangular pointer. The planchette must stay in place with all of its 3 legs solidly connected to the surface of the board. If it lifts, the connection can be broken. The spirit, through our energy, will move the planchette about the board in order to talk to us. Paul gasped and sputtered, "It all sounds pretty freaky to me. I have to admit I am a bit nervous, but I am willing to give it a try. What do we do to get started?" Charles took a moment to collect his thoughts and said, "Well, the idea is to summon the spirits we want to communicate with. We will call for Rose to come forward. Once we have a connection, she or another spirit will move the planchette around the board to spell out answers to the questions we ask. When the ghost wants to, or if we want to end the seance, we need to say goodbye so that the spirits go back to wherever they came from, and we close the opening to the other realm." Charles looked directly at each of his compatriots, and acknowledging clarity in each set of eyes. He closed his own eyes and stayed silent for a few minutes. When Charles opened his eyes, he advanced. "Sorry, guys, I am trying to remember all that my mother told me. Oh yeah, even though any of us can ask questions, only one of us should be the medium. The medium in a seance is the person selected to be the one to formally ask the questions. When we begin, is it okay that that person be me?" Everyone offered some kind of verbal or nonverbal affirmation to Charles that he could be the one to lead. Charles nodded and continued, "We should have someone write down anything that gets spelled out by the spirit. Mom says that sometimes the letters get pointed to very quickly, and it's difficult to keep track of what's being said. We need to nominate a scribe to capture all that is being transmitted to us. Who would like to do that?" Barbara spoke up nervously and fretted, "I offer to do that. I am spooked and don't want to touch that thing. I'll get out some paper and my pencil. I will write down what I can." Charles smiled at Barbara and thanked her. "That is great, Barb. You are officially our note-taker." When Barbara was ready with her little pad of lined paper and a sharply pointed pencil, Charles went on to explain, "Okay, in order to get things started, we will all need to, well, each of us with the exception of Barb, our note-taker, reach in and put our fingertips lightly on the planchette. We will need to move it around a bit to warm it up. While we are doing that, I will ask the first few questions in order to try to make a connection with any willing spirits. I am hoping Rose comes through first. Should Rose contact us, rather than any other wandering spirit, I think it would be okay for any of us to speak up. Finally, with whatever spirit that may connect with us, we need to be extremely polite, not ask any stupid questions, and not ask for any physical signs proving what the ghost is communicating. According to Mom, those things are no-nos, and turn willing spirits away. Does everyone understand what we need to do? If yes, let's get started. Let us call for Rose to come to us, so please take a moment now to focus your thoughts upon her." 6 of the edgy teens, one by one, cautiously reached towards the center of the table and placed their fingertips gently upon the planchette. Charles then whispered, "Okay, everyone, close your eyes and focus upon Rose." The youngsters looked to one another, closed their eyes, each individually taking a deep breath while trying to relax. With the slightest pressure upon the planchette, they started to slowly rotate the device in a slow circular motion. As it scraped softly against the surface, Charles called out, "We are all here in peace and love. Dear spirits, please acknowledge that this session allows only for an experience that is positive. Let it be known to each and every one of you that negative energies are not welcome here. I want to ask kindly if there are any spirits here today with us. Are there any spirits who would like to talk to us? Please answer yes if you are here amongst us." Suddenly the group, all adolescents in the group, Charles, Ricky, Sheila, Tina, Lois, Paul, and Barbara felt queasy in their stomachs. A chill came about the corner of the room where they were huddled, and a gentle gust of wind flapped the window blind and curtains from a half-opened window. The slightest vibration came about the table, and it pulsed with a gentle hum, kind of like that of an active beehive. Everyone around the table tensed a bit, and Charles repeated, "Are there any spirits who would like to talk to us? Please answer yes if you are here amongst us." Unexpectedly and unnerving to the teens, the planchette moved ever so slowly, turned, moved up slightly, and pointed towards the word yes on the board. Feeling the movement under their fingertips, everyone flicked open their eyes with astonishment. The planchette then proceeded to nudge further until the word was beautifully centered in the little round plastic window of the device. Feeling stunned, the teenagers looked at each other and asked without words but questioning eyes, "Oh my, do you believe this?" Charles sighed, opened his eyes wide, and solicited, "Who is here with us? We feel you. What is your name?" Vibrations were felt once more, but this time it was as if the legs of each chair droned, sending strange sensations up the legs and into the backsides of the freak students. Weirdly, a gentle hush or whisper sounded like someone trying to speak, but without enough energy to form words. Feeling encouraged, Charles asked, "Spirit, what is your name?" The planchette moved again, but this time towards the curved image of the alphabet. The pointer turned and rapidly moved to the letter R. It hovered there for an instant, and then moved left to the letter O. This time, without stopping, it moved back past the letter R and stopped at the letter S. It remained paused at the letter S for nearly a minute, when it then shifted up to the top of the alphabet and pointed directly at the letter E. "Oh my God," Barbara gasped after having jotted down the expected letters of a lost classmate's name. "It is Rose. She is here with us." Tears began to run down Barbara's face. Immediately afterwards, Barbara felt a warming sensation rise up gently in her body. It felt like someone had just wrapped her in a soft blanket. The others now equally felt the same warming sensation, and Ricky croaked, "Oh, Rose, I can feel your presence. Please know that we miss you. We did not understand what you were going through. Please know that each of us gathered here around this table, and many others here in this school, would have done something to help you, comfort you, but we did not know you were suffering. Are you okay?" Previously, the students had been sitting rigidly upon their chairs, but since sensing the warmth enveloping them, they started to relax. With a bit of a jerk, the little planchette moved up towards the image of the sleeping moon and the word no. Sheila, feeling quite emotional, gasped, "Look, everyone," she said, "no. Despite being freed from the bounds of her human life and all its complexities, Rose is not okay." "Oh, Rose," wept Lois, "we want to help you. We want to help you find peace so that you can go to heaven." With grief-filled eyes, tears started to stain Lois's cheeks. The table started to vibrate once more, and the sensation of the very slight movement ran up and through the fingers of every hand pressed against the planchette. Feeling compassionate and wanting to help, Charles asked, "Rose, what happened?" The moment the question left Charles's lips, the planchette moved about the Ouija board to spell out DIAGNOSEDFOR2YEARS. After having pointed to the last S in the word years, the apparatus stayed stationary for about a minute. Suddenly, as almost with a life of its own, the planchette went on to spell out DEPRESSEDFOR1YEAR. Barbara worked hurriedly to jot down each letter from the two statements, and when she looked at her notes with a heavy heart surmised, "Rose says, diagnosed for 2 years, and depressed for 1 year. Oh, Rose, were you sick?" The planchette immediately shot up and stopped at the word yes. Everyone gasped and felt deep sadness. Ricky's face began to contort to one of profound sorrow. His cheeks became red and puffy. Tears started to build in his eyes. As he swallowed back a whimper, he implored, "Oh, Rose, what were you diagnosed with? What made you sick?" Instantly, the Ouija board pointer moved about the board and spelled TERMINALCANCER. Concurrently, Barb wrote out the response to Ricky's question and pronounced, "Rose spelled out terminal cancer." "Oh, the poor dear," spouted Sheila. No wonder she was feeling so down and withdrawn. Unexpectedly, the planchette started to move again, and this time it wrote out SICKWITHRMS. Barbara noted the new letters and said aloud, "She says sick with RMS. Does anyone know what RMS is?" Paul shook his head and asked, "Rose, what is RMS?" The gadget on the board wrote out BADCANCER. Barb wrote it down and said, "Bad cancer." Paul sighed deeply and questioned, "Rose, what did you want us to do?" This time the planchette stayed stationary, but an ominous faint whisper murmured, "Tell people I am sorry. Pray for me and I will go home." The hairs on the backs of everyone's necks rose up because no one expected to hear an actual voice from the beyond. In feeling unsettled, Ricky asked, "Did each of you hear that, or was it just me?" Everyone at the table confirmed that they had equally heard the soft voice. Paul cleared his throat and sputtered, "Yes, Rose, we will tell everyone and we will pray for you." Immediately, the planchette moved to the bottom of the Ouija board and stopped at the word goodbye.